It's the Monday, August 1st, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting. 2 items on the agenda: interview Justine Gryszowka and warrant for special town meeting. Since Justine is not here yet, do you want to?
Do you want me to go get them, or do you want?
Is she ready? Is she here?
I just texted Sarah and Jessica, but I'll just call.
Okay. I wear long sleeves, so if you're warm, I'm prepared.
I'm fine, you can put it on. It takes a while to get to me. If you're warm, you can put it on.
It takes a while to get.
Right.
I put long sleeves on.
I should have brought a sweater, I know. I sit at work with a space heater on my feet most days.
Yeah.
What is it with that office?
It's freezing. And it's like so cold. It's such a big, it's such an open space that it's just tough to regulate, I think.
I was freezing in my office, and I thought the cold air would come in through here, because it gets blazing hot with the sun on you.
Yeah.
But then it's cold, so sorry about that. They're coming right down, but I don't know if you just want to go through the warrant.
Do you want to do the warrant quickly?
That's fine, sure.
And I have the one for you to sign that Ryan has on his paper, special paper.
Do you guys have a chance to look at it?
I did.
Any questions?
You want a motion?
I would like a motion.
I would make a motion that we accept and approve the warrant for the, should that say special town
It
meeting?
should say special
Uh-oh.
town meeting.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So I'll start over. I'll make a motion to approve and accept the warrant for the special special town meeting for Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Second.
Moved in second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He's gonna have to fix that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing.
Slide to this one, because
Yeah, he does it.
right in my
This is still amazing.
Yep.
Over here. I didn't recognize you with your curly hair.
How's
Oh
it
my
going?
gosh, good. I'm like, is there a new stuff? I'm like, no.
That's normal. This is normal.
Yes, that's how my hair normally is.
yes.
So I didn't recognize her because I used to see her straight hair.
Oh.
It says annual, so he's gonna change it.
So Ryan's gonna fix it?
Yeah, he's fixing it, bringing it in. He didn't send me the original.
All right. So, next item on the, or first item on the agenda, we moved backwards.
But I wanna keep it as a souvenir.
I might be there again.
To interview Justine. So welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Justine.
So I'm Julie, I'm the chair. This is Kelly. Kelly is the clerk, and this is Rob, Rob is the vice chair. And you know Nicole, right?
We met.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for coming in. Thank
That's
you
not
for
work
coming.
newspapers, you know that?
I know.
So I had a lot of ballots today.
Nobody, it's
That's
not
it.
me that catches stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't need me for anything, right? Call if you do.
No, yeah. Maybe Jessica wants to start out. I don't know if you want to get a little synopsis from her
Sure.
Synopsis
of the interview and the reason that you wanted to hire her.
So the reason I would like to hire Justine is that she already has a couple years of experience in North Brookfield as the clerk or the treasurer collector. So she already has experience. So we can basically just throw her into that position and kind of tweak things to the way that we're doing stuff. Every place is different. Yeah.
Right.
And you have a different software, but yep.
What do you have in Brookfield?
I'm sorry.
What's in North Brookfield?
What's in North
Yeah,
Brookfield?
the financial software.
Oh, it's Point.
Oh, never heard of it.
Very old.
Probably. I only know the two now.
Yeah, okay.
Munis and Vadar.
So I'm hoping this is going to be easier. Yeah, it probably will be. Vader's super user friendly. It's
Yeah.
easy. Yeah. Yeah.
And can I just interject one thing? So one of the things that she was talking about what she does over in Brookfield is an Excel spreadsheet, and she ties everything out. which is one of the things Jess and I have been working on. The big push is for checks and balance before anything gets entered into the system to make reconciliation easier. So it was good to know that Justine she does that in North Brookfield before it even gets turned over to the tax collector. So that learning curve, except for a little bit tweaking of what the Excel spreadsheet is, that is right off the bat can start of how she would close out the drawer at the end of the night, which may not seem like much, but it really is. One of the struggles we had with somebody else was that just that Excel experience of what we're trying to prove and what we're going to tie out, I mean, she's already familiar with that. And the Excel spreadsheets that we do with all of the tie-outs and all of the different aspects of the job are very similar. So I think that that's going to help her transition into it as well.
I like it, so
Yeah.
I enjoy using it.
Which is great,
Yeah.
because we use it a lot. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, sure, yeah, no, I just, so you've been in North Brookfield for 2 years?
Two and a half,
Two and a, yep, and why are you looking to change from North Brookfield?
They didn't want to give me insurance. I only work
full-time.
part-time.
Gotcha, okay, that's right.
And I
think-
really need the benefits.
Sure, yeah, no, that's important.
I waited long enough.
Yeah, yeah, no, well, that's good.
Good for Hardwick.
Yes, absolutely, especially with the experience that you have.
And when did you start?
Immediate, tomorrow.
I didn't know if you had to give notice to the
Yeah.
town. in North
No, I
Brookfield.
already did. I've already given them a 2-week notice.
Oh, okay.
It was done last week. I wouldn't leave without giving them 1 2. Only fair.
You're willing to do it. Seem well in line with doing that, so.
And I mean, yeah, and I think, so, one of the things is that you're coming into a situation that has historically had some issues. And working through, getting through all those issues and getting us caught up reconciling, that's like important for us. Making sure that both positions the positions being covered, but also making sure that things are up to date. Because there's a lot of eyes looking at this and making sure that we do what we need to do and don't fall on our face. Finance team, and it's not a personal thing, it's just historically for many, many years has been weak here. And part of that is we don't do a good job training. There's been not a good job training people as we go, but it's good that you have experience so that we can sort of maybe help learn and bring some things that you're doing.
I might have some ideas too, you never
Yeah.
know.
Sure.
No, that's a huge benefit.
We're a small town. We're a small town, so things, things can be a little informal, I think, probably. Probably say that compared to other towns that you see, and where you've been. I guess for me, my main concern is getting that department where it needs to be, and getting everybody trained where they need to be.
Yeah, so that's sort of why we wanted Sarah here, just to give you guys an update as well. You know that we asked for money, but I just wanted, I don't know, exactly what they're doing in the office, but as they are doing, as they're working, she's alone still, so, she still comes in and helps, and thankfully, and as a Hardwick resident, she has a lot of, not only pride, but she wants it to run right? I mean, it's your town.
Yes.
So I just wanted her to, them to give an update on kind of what the procedures that they were working on. How we had said that, there's some priorities and things like that in that office. And so they've been working recently on that. And so if you want to take that away, tell me what
Yeah.
you've already told me.
Well, and I didn't know if Justine was, I didn't know if you wanted to finish her interview first before we went into what we've been accomplishing, because it's been a lot, and I want to go over it. Not thorough, but I want it to be understood, so you have questions, so, if you want want me to take over, or do you want to finish?
Well, we
what
can finish up with Justine, so she doesn't need to stay here. Do you have any questions for us, or anything that you wanna ask us?
I don't think so. She's answered most of them
Yeah,
already.
I think her and I have talked a lot, answered a lot of questions. I'm just really glad, feel relieved to have you on board and have the experience, so yeah.
It is hard to get somebody with no
Yeah, I
municipal
feel like it's
experience
super
whatsoever.
hard.
You know, and to train them from the start. There is,
Yeah.
I think
you
we've
know,
seen that a
especially in this
lot.
department,
Mhm.
it's really a niche. It requires thorough
Yeah.
knowledge. You know, and even Jessica, when she came in, she didn't have it. She wasn't a treasurer, and she was just kind of thrown into the role. So it's been tough. The whole financial team's been tough, as you know. So this is the only way for us to move forward. And of course, I recommend that you approve who Jessica wants as well, because operationally, it will certainly help us run smoother and more efficiently, and that's clear, that's what we want always.
You guys have any questions? Are you guys ready to make a motion? So, rate of pay, all of that kind of stuff, what is that, so we can include it in our motion?
Okay, it's the same as it was for the other one, I don't,
Yeah,
we had approved it in the meeting, in the budget, let me see.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can go upstairs and grab that if you need me to.
Yeah, could you, I don't know what the hourly, it's
Yeah.
1836, or I don't know
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I'll grab it.
And it's 32 hours. You know, it's obviously full-time, so it's benefited.
And Justine's also had so much interaction with the people where she is currently, so I think that's another huge piece of it. So Jessica will be able to, focus on the quiet, which is needed in that office, but also Justine will be able to handle, people coming in.
the foot traffic and
Yeah, and the questions that will be answered, and Vadar is really easy to learn, so I think she won't have a problem. She has the knowledge of what a tax person might possibly ask, so then she would be able to just jump right into Vadar and answer, and there's a couple of different outlets to do it, so I think that's a huge benefit. Having just a couple of years' experience is really big being in that office.
I'm looking forward to the program because the one I use now is horrible.
I used one in my early days.
You have to look up every year
Mhm.
to get their tax information.
Where Vadar, you can actually just look at parcel balance, so,
Right.
and actually can print the sheet out for a parcel balance, so it is a
Nice.
much more friendly program, so I think and again, I find that the program's the easy side to learn. It's how do you answer taxpayers' questions, how do you answer the phone, so she's familiar with that, I'm sure, after 2 years of having to deal with people. Yeah, and I've heard good things about her dealing with, that her customers are gonna miss her, so
They are.
that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
Do we wanna make a motion and just,
that's, I'm certainly,
we can make a
Yeah.
motion just subject to the rate.
The rate.
Subject to the grade that they're, yeah.
I would make a motion that we offer Justine Gryszowka?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Um,
Nobody does it right.
I know, you think I
Silly,
would,
weird
I
letters.
think I would by now, but the position of treasurer, collector, clerk, based on all the pre-employment queries and stuff like that, for 32 hours a week at a rate
At
of
1837.
$18.37 an hour.
It's been moved and seconded, any other discussion? Effective date, effective immediately,
Effective immediately,
effective tomorrow.
whenever you're starting.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Excellent.
Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Excited to
coming
be
and
here.
meeting with us, and look forward to seeing all the great things that you're gonna do, the department's gonna do, so. No pressure, but
You won't regret it.
I can see that, so, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Night. I'll be in earlier, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
so
much.
much. Have a
Look
good
forward
day.
to working with all of you.
Look forward to
Take
seeing you
care.
tomorrow, Tina.
Bye.
So, let me start, or you wanna ask questions first?
I guess just if you can, like, from our perspective, because there's a lot of eyes on this, and my glasses are coming here. There's a lot of eyes on this department because of what we have coming down the road with USDA, and we really cannot fall flat on our face on this.
Yes.
Because we've already been underneath the microscope. Just, I'll tell you what's of interest to me, making sure we're getting reconciled up to date. We've been significantly behind, and again, we're not talking about, it's not trying to point the finger, it's just the functioning of the
It's been an ongoing
department.
issue for a long time.
The functioning of
You
the
know.
department.
I remember.
You know.
And just
I
making
remember.
sure that
Right.
we're doing what we need to do, interfacing with our outside accountant, making sure that that process is smoother. That's what I'm interested in, making sure that we're on top of.
And the fact that we're gonna need audits done
Yes.
within a very smaller time frame than in the past.
Yeah.
And
So,
sorry, I haven't seen that face in a long time.
So I want to interject real
Yes.
quick and just say that I was completely up to date on reconciliation and posting in December, and then Ellen resigned. Because she even asked me that, well, when were you
right.
last, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, so the figures, right? But
Well, so that throws a monkey wrench, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we can all understand,
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
something like that happens, you're not expecting that.
right,
And it's an unforeseen,
So the
you
past
know.
6 months have been hard, but I'm super proud of us, and thank God for Sarah, really, because
For both of us, we, as a team, were
Yes.
leaps and bounds, in my opinion, because you have to remember, there's also conversion in there. And there's
Yeah,
also
yeah,
hiccups
yeah,
with
yeah.
the lockbox, and there's hiccups with a software that neither one of us knew that we picked up, and there were glitches in. Not glitches in the system, but more of glitches of users not knowing the system. And if something doesn't, hit a number, then it just drops off. So, that was a learning curve. But, we've really, the last few months, a few weeks actually, we had to focus on the priorities. So we knew that there were things that were falling behind, and we understood that, but we know cash is the most important thing. And that is what we've been honing in on. So because of that, we are in May right now. That's where we are reconciled. We are not finished with May, but we are in May. And what that means is we've been able to identify all the variances. We spoke with accounting because the way it works is we need to know when we're going to post, because if we find items that need to have variances or reconciling items, we can't just post them in February or March because we want to. So accounting wants us to wait till May, which is fine. So hopefully a lot of those things will fall off in May. The postings that as we find things, I want to say that I understood why Jessica was posting things the way she was posting, because when I was here, there were, one of the big drives was there was a disconnect with the departments in their turnovers and identifying them, from what I remember. So when accounting had trained Jessica, made sense. You want to make sure that every deposit is matching every turnover. So, they could track if there was something missing. So in theory, that's okay, except for when you have 70 different transactions, of which 10 of them are $10 transactions, and if they cross months, which one didn't? We have to do research, which one never showed up, or which one was double booked. So in theory, reconciliations are really, really easy. Everything the way Jessica's posting is a normal way of posting under the circumstances. So what we've been working on is streamlining to make sure that everything that gets posted, and I'm sorry if I duplicate myself and saying the same thing, but I told Jess so many times, and she agrees, everything's a triangle. You need 3 points that match, not just 2, because you can always make 2 numbers match. So to streamline that, we have to make sure that, or Jess has to make sure, Jessica and
Tina.
Yep.
Tina, I was calling her Tina, I don't know why. Tina are going to focus on the entries that happen before it goes into Vadar and into the cash flow. And what that'll do is be able to reconcile it in a very short period of time, which is what we want to do.
So we're reconciling like on a weekly basis as we're posting things, is what Sarah's teaching me to do now, which is pretty incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, and
So-
it's not that I was doing it wrong before, but I wasn't, but I was
But
waiting
you're more
till-
on top of it.
Yes,
Yeah, more
yes.
efficient, yeah.
Way more efficient.
Yeah.
It's the
That's great.
efficiency, because
Yeah.
so again, when you're stuck in all these, every time you have to do a $10 transaction, and I understand why, That is including entering cash book, reconciling to the bank statement, making sure it ties out, printing out things to the accountant. There's a lot of work for each one, so we've consolidated so that all turnovers are processed in one day, end of the week. We have our checks and balance, which has the Excel spreadsheet. And so we've been able to work on that at the same time as reconciling. We've been looking at when we're reconciling, finding things that were the big issues. You know, what is causing some of these issues? You know, when you have a lot of things that's going to be posted to the wrong banks, the information that was coming from the collector's office, you know, and I was part of that. When you set it up, it gets a little convoluted of the way the reports were run. So there was room for error. So we've been able to kind of close the gap on that as well in the new system. That helps.
Yeah, having Vadar and having the collector's side talk to the treasurer's side is so helpful, and then you can also just pull stuff in on not having to sit and manually enter things, and you know, that can cause errors right there. So that's been streamlining things a lot.
And it's that checks and balance we've been just talking about all the time. So you have the first person entering, whomever that is, and then they're gonna pull it over to Jessica. And so then Jessica has at that point that information in front of her, and we've even to the point, the packets are all uniform. You know, this is another thing that we talked about. You have to have consistency. You don't wanna have this pack be different from this pack from this pack, because when you're reconciling, you need to find it, and you're gonna look in the same spots, you're gonna be doing the same things. Simply, when you're posting taxpayers' bills, you know, these small things that nobody teaches you, these small things that seem like not a big deal, are actually huge, because we're taking care of it at the base level. So we talked about reconciliation. When you're doing reconciliation, when you're knee-deep in reconciliation, the last thing you want to do is have to be like, I'm off. And you have to get up, you have to find the packs, you have to, here I was going downstairs, we're going upstairs, we're going to the bank statements, we're going to receipts. That stops your brain, believe it or not, from what you're doing. And that takes time to go back to reconciliation after that. So what we talked about was, you know, having scanning. Scanning is a huge piece of this. You tell me how much easier it is, not only for scanning to the accountant. So these packets we create, they tie out, we have a cover sheet to tie them out, then we scan them immediately as soon as they're posted in Vadar. We scan them, upload them to the shared drive to the accountant, which before the accountant would have every department's turnovers, which is great, which is another thing we talk about, because really we shouldn't be collecting those, and we have been. So for fraud protection, we've been working with it's not, we're okay here, but whomever comes in after us, you need to protect the town from those things. But that's part of months down the road when we're working there. But by scanning the whole entire packet to our shared drive, because mind you, this is the treasurer's, and I've been drilling this into Jessica, this is we worry about the treasurer's office, we worry about the collector's office. We can aid departments, and we are more than willing to, but we're not gonna do their job. We have to follow our laws, we have to follow what's gonna help our cash book. So, I'm going back, when we scan in, it's our packet, it's our backup, it's all of the department turnovers, it's the treasurer's stuff. We upload it to the shared drive with accounting. So accounting will still get their packs, but what that's helping is, I mean, Nicole, just you guys know, how many times will the accounting firm say, can you send me this, can you send me that? Well, not only do we have it on our own shared drive, because as soon as we submit, we save it to ours, we've uploaded it to them. So I don't think we've gotten barely any phone calls on anything that we've been sending to them, which is a huge difference. You know, as well as, you know, if there's something we need to look up when we're reconciling, right?
Look at all the time you're saving.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Great.
it's
So
like,
And the
much
accountants
more
are happy too.
organized.
I was on the phone with her Friday.
oh,
That's
good,
really
good, because and, you know, we upload, and so that however hundreds of dollars it costs for that, and it's only 15 minutes, we figured, roughly a week extra of scanning, but the time behind is saved.
Yep.
It's
You know,
huge.
it is
Yeah.
huge, it really
You have to
is.
stop and look and dig through.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That can be
yes.
endless.
Yes, and what that's able for us to do is, you know, we're not only learning these little things, because these little tweaks, you know, I've had the luxury to be in like 20 different towns, so I can actually pull from every town saying, wow, that works great, I can use this, I can implement this. You know, I have the luxury of talking to the state all the time and say, you know, what are your best practices? And they have them on the website. So I get that luxury, other people don't get that, what they know is what they know. And so these small things that we're implementing are gonna be huge, and then that's gonna open the door for what Jess and I were talking about, or just a minute ago. Fraud is one of them, you know, let's start working on fraud prevention, that's a huge one. You know, we were talking about, the other day, we're gonna have to start reconciling accounts receivable. Mind you, when we get to accounting, that's gonna be a whole nother bear, because we have to reconcile all that stuff. But people will teach the process and say, you need to have 3 copies, one to the accountant, one to the treasurer, one to the collector. But we're trying to take it to the next level because she's gonna be a manager. So we started talking about, okay, these are the 3 reports, but let's look at these 3 reports. What's in these reports that matter? The tax collector does not care about certain things. The treasurer doesn't care about certain things, and accountant. But what they do care about are the general ledger numbers, and I showed just that these reports actually show the general ledger number. And it's important if you're off, so we're moving like even to that direction, because when we start reconciling accounts receivable, I'm like, Justin, you need to look at cross-links. This is where you find the cross-links in the reports. And the collector doesn't have the general ledger, but it says the detail. Well, if that detail doesn't match what the accounting is posting, you can see in the detail that's going to be your cross-link. So that's the level, like, eventually we're going to get to in a lot of things, but we need to get this streamlined down pat, which I believe for the few things we've done has been huge. And then we're going to start building on the bigger stuff, which is going to help her as a manager and as a treasurer and collector, so you guys will have that knowledge in the office that you guys want, because you're going to want that and be able to run reports and explain different things. So, you know, that's kind of what, let me see, what else have we talked about? The streamlining, which I think you guys see we're working on that.
Yeah.
But scheduling as well. So we've talked about scheduling. We want repetition in the office, and so we've already started working on, this is what has to be done on Mondays. This is how we do them on Mondays. This is why we do them on Mondays. This is what we do every Thursday. This is how you do it. And there are very specific things, there's specific reports, there's specific postings that you have to do. And we're starting to break down, this is what we go to the chalkboard upstairs. We already have like 3 of them filled up of the things that we have to do and the things that are going to be repetitious so that we don't forget about it. You know, we created, remember the debacle with the lockbox, right? Debacle, I'll never forget that. So, but what we've created now is a spreadsheet saying, okay, these are the lockbox. Is it a weekend? Did we get anything in the mail, in our shared drive? You know, we're matching those things up. And then at the end of the week, we pull up, make history, we pull up our lockbox entries, and they match. And if they don't match, then we can reconcile. We would have caught that. And that's the thing, that would have been caught if we were on schedule within a month, and it wouldn't have been an issue. So, you know, those are the things, scheduling is a huge piece of it. So that's another thing that we've talked about. Talking about emails, you know, in the morning. I don't know if this is the detail you wanted me to go into, but in the morning, you know, you have to check our emails in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening. I recommended don't check during the day. You have so many other things you have to focus on. If it's really important, you're going to call. We talked about answering the phone call if you can, unless, excuse me, obviously there's something major you're doing, but try and answer the phone calls throughout the day, so that way, you know, people know you're there, even if it's like you're speaking with somebody. So
Yeah,
those
well,
are-
now they'll have another 32-hour person, which was a problem before, obviously.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
she's all alone, and then she still has people want to come pay the taxes.
Yes.
It
but
was
this-
hard.
Exactly, but the
It's hard.
scheduling of the emails, like, we've got to make sure that those are just, because again, it stops the number of emails. If you answer one, then you won't get 4 from the same person after, because nobody got to for 2 weeks.
I'm jumping in for just a second. So I think I needed that extra structure, and I would love to continue to have that because everything was a priority to me, and I was all over the place, and I was trying to do so many things every day, and it's so nice to kind of have that structure and be like, it's better if we do.
Well, that's how you
this,
burn
this,
out.
this. Yeah,
If you don't
that too.
have,
Yes.
because
Right.
I know it's very important, like on
Yeah.
Mondays I do A, B, C, D.
Yes.
Tuesdays I do, yeah, I mean, it's the same almost every week unless
Yes.
something pops up. And
Yeah.
it makes it run smooth.
And I needed that.
Yeah.
Well, and also
Yeah.
Needed that.
the help with departments are telling her what to do, and it affects our job. Like, so departments will come in and be like, I need this done right now, and it seems really, really important, and it is important, but like I said to Justin, you know, there's a department that wanted us to do something, well, it affected our cross year, so it screwed up our cross year, and we had to do a lot more work, and I understood their side, but and I'm not saying we wouldn't do it, but I think those types of situations I'm trying to.
So having more like
address.
procedures and like,
It's-
what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I
Yes.
need that, I need all that structure.
Yeah, and so departments understand our side as well. So again, and we talked, I think it was talking about, you know, there are times that there are gonna be two departments that are contradicting your needs, you know? But what we have to do as a town is say, which is the least financial impact of the town? And that's what you go with, you know, and that is actually quoted from the lawyer, the day at DLS. Anytime you have two contradicting things, you go with the least financial impact of the town. Somebody's not gonna like it, and it's actually, sometimes one might even be, I say the word illegal lightly because it's not like detrimental, it gets done, but whether it's this fiscal year or next fiscal year, or if it's a deficit account versus labor laws. So those are the things too that I want just to have the backing to say, I understand what you guys want, can we sit down and say, this is what I need, let's work it together, instead of just being told, you have to do this for multiple multiple departments, and then, you know, she has no knowledge behind it and understanding. So that's where the schedule comes in, you know, we want our weekly turnovers. A department comes in, they say want their money deposited today, well, that's great, unless you have a really good reason, I'm not gonna do it, because that is 3 or 4 extra steps that both we have to do and the account has to do. And is it really worth it to do it for, I don't know, they might have a great reason. Maybe the person's always delinquent, maybe they always bounce checks and they know the money's in the account and we are gonna run to the bank. Those are things that, you know, we're not being definite, but we need to work on. So scheduling is a really big piece of it. Postings again, up to date on postings. Actually, right now we're just in the middle of posting today's work. So everything, the only thing that's not is Jeffrey and Jeffrey, but that is because with the conversion, the older years aren't in there, and so we have to get them to somehow, and I don't know how to do this, but we have to somehow get the older years in, but that is the only thing that we
Yeah,
have not
I'm
posted.
super proud of us. We worked our
Yes.
butts off, and we're literally current as of today
For postings,
for
yeah.
postings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that to me is a huge.
Yeah.
And the other thing, so demands are up to date, commitments have been out. Actually, right now, we're getting stuffed are the letters, they're pre-lettered to advertise. So because we know there's like a hiccup, we're trying to be courteous to the taxpayers. So we are actually sending a letter just saying, hey, just letting you know, FY '22, you guys have a delinquency, you need to pay it. And then they have 15 days, and then if they don't pay, by September 1st, we're actually gonna send them a letter to advertise, we will do the two. And so tax tails are gonna happen as well. So thank God Jessica did, in all the midst of all of this, Jessica did the tax lien auction, which brought revenue to you guys. So that was really good. So we're keeping up with those types of things as well. Let's see. I went through this a lot faster than I anticipated. That's what it's like. So I think the last thing is, you probably are wondering if what we're doing is actually working, right? Because I'm sure you've heard it before. Oh yeah, we're doing great, everything's doing.
Well, I
So-
think from our standpoint, we've spent a lot of money on that department.
Yes.
To still see people struggle with it, because the training wasn't adequate.
Yes.
No fault of yours, Jessica, or anyone else that's been in that
Yes.
department. And so the training hasn't been there.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
So the good news is, on Friday, we took the day, and made sure, we said before we jump back into reconciliation on Saturday, we were gonna get everything posted, everything that we had, make sure we triple checked everything, had everything we did. So we actually took July, and we ran our bank statements for July, and within an hour, we
Yeah.
have reconciled all the activity.
Which
So-
is, how long does it normally take us to reconcile them up?
It's taking 8 to 12 hours right now. 8 to 12
Per
hours.
bank account.
Yeah. So that's how it's been going. So these tweaks we've been doing, the time and energy we're spending at the base of all the entries, we were able to, again, quick reconciliation. I'm not saying, we didn't do the AP and the payroll, which actually went pretty easy. Jessica has that down pat. But it's the ones that are a lot more, and we were able to, within 1 hour, just reconcile the activity within it. So I think that says leaps and bounds for what we've already accomplished in a month, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks to a month. And that's only gonna improve. So the goal now is to maintain the variances that we have. And then I suggested to Jessica, what you wanna do is, you wanna say, okay, I'm gonna take this bank account and I'm gonna try and find 3 or 4 of these variances or these items that have been sitting there for a while and I'm gonna reconcile. Because now you don't have a whole month, you only have 1 or 2, and we're gonna try and clean those up. If we can't get to it at the end of the year, as long as we maintain that variance, we will then go to the auditor or the accounting firm and we're gonna ask them if we can write off those variances. And the good thing with that is, in most of my communities, even though we write them off, there's 2 different ways to do it. We can just simply write it off, or I've actually in one community, which we may wanna do here, is ask them to put it in holding place in the general ledger. So basically, as people come in, say somebody had an excise bill for whatever reason didn't get posted accurately a year ago. If they come in and they have proof of payment, we need somewhere to offset that. Well, we have this account, this general ledger account that we'll be able to go to and say, and we'll have a list of all of our dates that they were variances, deposits or whatever, and we can go back to that and say, you know what, you're right, we do have somewhere where we can take it, and it's not taking, it's reconcile that
Yeah.
item. So those are the 2 different options.
And I also want to say there's small variances. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
anything big out there. It's
No.
little things here and there that
Yeah.
we're like, what's this few cents or a couple bucks or
Yeah.
whatever. And and sometimes it's also cost efficient not to spend hours and hours trying to find $2, so you just move forward.
Yes. Yeah, the variances, and that's why I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it,
Yeah.
because, and a lot of them I think actually wash out. I was able to pull a sum
Yeah.
that washed out from month to month, but then they're off, that's speaking of that $10. But I found that a lot, like it could be that just that $10. So yeah, it's not huge amounts of
I
money.
just want to
That's-
make a point of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I've said to them, as a selectman, I would be losing it, like, all this money to make this department run the way it's
Yeah.
supposed to run. Shouldn't it already be running like that? But it hasn't.
But it hasn't, and I also want to interject and say that I love Hardwick and I want to stay here. And I'm super happy to have this position. And I feel so blessed and lucky to have it and take this on. And, you guys are investing in me and the town. I'm going to stay here for hopefully a very long time. And I'm not planning on going anywhere. I'm 10 minutes away from my house. It's awesome. I love it. And I love all the people I work with. So I feel like, investing in Sarah is investing in me, is investing in the town for a long period of time. So I just want to say that.
I think for me too, one of the things is reporting, so we can get periodic reporting. Finance should be getting reports.
Okay.
I don't think you're getting reports now, Cheryl. Are you guys getting reports?
I was getting them monthly up until the collector.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which makes
And then
sense.
I
December.
stopped.
Okay.
And so for me, it'd be nice to see reporting in finance, and maybe it comes up to the board level so we know where we're at.
Okay.
Then we can run, reports and say where we're at with budget, just so that it's hard to look at things and compare where you are at budget if things aren't posted up, because they're not accurate. You're looking at something, you're not comparing the same things.
Actually, I do get the reports. I have been getting monthly.
You're getting the expenditure reports.
Right,
You're getting,
from the accountant.
right, yeah. So just making sure that everything is current. And then maybe doing another check-in, like in a month or
Yeah.
maybe mid-September.
Yeah.
Monthly would be smart, because there's a lot invested in this right now, and there's gonna be struggles. We're gonna have, like, we only talked about cash, but accounts receivable, that's gonna be a struggle for us to reconcile. I mean, we've been able to, 22 is what we have to focus on. We were able to find a lot of the abatements, which again, another thing, abatements, which was a concern. We were able to get those posted. Jen had asked, yes, in refunds, we have typical vehicle, the real estate will be going up shortly. I have to sit with Jen, or we have to sit with Jen to verify those. So there are big hurdles we still have to come. It's not over. Just because we're getting cash caught up, that's great. But accounts receivable is a huge piece that we are gonna have to tackle, and I cannot tell you how much that's gonna take, because I know we did a preliminary, I had my staff do a preliminary of the May's accounts receivable, because that's when the conversion was done, and I'm not able to tie out most of the activity in May. So not that it's not gonna be able to done, we're just gonna have to take the two pieces. Again, all of this stuff is there, we just have to have it come together, so, I just want you to be aware of that. There are gonna be hurdles, but I think if we can meet monthly, we can tell you, great, this is where we've done, but this is where we're a stalemate, and, you know, we have to spend the 12, 18, 24 hours on this accounts receivable line because of X, Y, and Z. So I think the transparency would be better if we could meet monthly. You know, and then Jess can also explain more of what she's been doing, what she's, you know, seeing as hurdles from what was before and things like that, so.
Yeah, I think another, you know, in another few weeks and monthly, Jessica will be the one to, you know, we'll determine her knowledge as well. She's the one that's explaining everything that you're doing in the office. And,
Yep.
you know, and also, I mean, hopefully we're gonna get to a point where actual people come to the department head meetings and I get reports that I can share with you at our meeting. So it's not like so much redundancy, you know, like here's everybody's report and this is what they're doing this month, or so, you know, that's in our meetings. That doesn't happen. I don't really get a lot of people coming to the meetings, so, you know, hopefully as that changes, you know, then we'll have them that way. But right now, it's just brand new transition into a new department. I think it's great that we'll have them come to one of our meetings a month for now, you know.
And I noticed, so the other night, Jessica can speak on this, this is how I know things are working, because Jessica is now, we've gotten to a point where Jessica can start thinking about what the position is. So if you want to tell them some of the things we talked about, how your ideas, like Sherry has ideas about capital planning and things like that, about the taxes, tax titles and, you know, different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice to not be like, kind of feel like you're treading water, and I feel like lately I've been able to kind of take a breath and be like, there's other things that I want to do. Like we have, you know, I'd love to do, you know, some investing and, you know, things that a treasurer is supposed to do, or look at some of the abandoned buildings that we have in town and tackle some of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it just made me feel like I kind of had a little weight lifted off me, and it's like, oh, okay, now I can look at some other things too, and maybe add some other projects in.
I would recommend we get this solid.
Yes,
before
yes,
we do that.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
No, but I just
But
wanted
yes,
to
that's
share that
refreshing
she
to-
has visions that
Yes.
as a manager, you're gonna get to actually enjoy
Accomplish, yeah.
and get further along with once this stuff is done, that she's had, like she just said, she has a vision. Like to have a
No,
vision
that's-
is huge, to
that's
know that these
awesome.
are the things that you
Yeah.
wanna do, but it's a long road before we get there.
It's true that a treasurer should be investing. But we have cash flow and it doesn't get any invested at all. It's like, you know, when I asked her what kind of investing, she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
I
oh my
can
gosh.
recall when I worked for, this was years ago, but they literally made a deposit every night that made money overnight.
Huh.
Like,
That's
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Sweet.
And so the money that wasn't being used on a daily basis got invested every night.
So we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we will.
That's all I'm looking for is revenue every day.
Um, So, last week, right? Not last week, I don't even know what day it is. We had two figures in front of us for this training. It was like 35 and then it was 50.
Yes.
And I think we paused because obviously that was kind of too, right.
Yes.
And I'm sorry if I'm jumping in, but, you know, we have invested a lot into this department. So it's, you know, Julie made the comment like, we need to know it's gonna work if we're
Yes.
gonna invest more money into this department.
Absolutely,
You
yes.
know.
It was, what did we do, 10,000, right? I think that's what we did. Originally, when she first was hired, right, but when the,
Yeah, it was only supposed to be 6 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's all I had available.
Right.
Yep,
But,
so now it's
so, yes.
almost somebody's salary. I mean, it's crazy, but I
Yeah.
see no other way. Thank God we have, I don't know how to train her, like, thank God we have this,
And
so
that's
I'm
the-
hoping, you know,
that's the
eventually
problem.
that.
Like,
And
nobody's ever gotten, I think, good, solid training.
And the reason that was there, the only reason that was there is because that quote said not to exceed. And the reason that I have learned in the past, and after the weekend that we spent and what I saw in how long things were taking. My feeling was it is easier to say, you know what, I didn't use 15,000, here you go, than come to you guys in 4 months and say, we're struggling, I need $15,000 more. So I am more of a realist, and I do not like to come back to the boards, and I do not like to come back to the towns and say, it's more money. You know, I did the same thing in Holyoke, and I said up to 50,000, all right, they're bigger, don't get me wrong. But I actually only did 28,000, and that's all I billed them for. So, you know, and I understand, I'm not trying to belittle any of it, I'm just trying to let you know my side. That's how I've learned the best solution to the situation, and that's, the 35 was original, but then when we sat down and it took us 3, 4 days, 16-hour days, it was long, so that's kind of where we came up with that.
So that's it, just wanted to give you a quick update. Because, you know, the interview was already tonight, so just food for your thought.
Do we still have money for Sarah to continue helping?
Before?
Right, like unless we,
We need to decide on the article.
Right.
At this point.
right. Obviously, you're not working for so.
Some days.
Well, we all do that.
Yes, you do, you're right, we have to.
So I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I didn't put it on the agenda, so if anything,
We can't really vote on it.
on next week, in the 8th.
I think I would think about maybe, putting it there and maybe thinking about it.
So what about if we do it in steps? So what about if we allocate a certain amount and see where you're at?
Yep,
So, for next week's meeting, can you give us an idea where we are so far?
Yep.
With what we've spent? And then let's do check-in points, so maybe we approve
Just
15,000?
until the next check-in and then see
Maybe
where
We'll
we're
do
at,
like
yeah.
2 months.
Yeah.
Roughly what it would take for 2
Yeah.
months.
Right.
Yeah.
so, and I'm just gonna back up just for a minute. So basically, right now, the push has been these last few weekends, and then it's gonna be basically 1 day a week. It's not gonna be weekends anymore, you know, because the push was for the cash.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see a significant drop off to basically being the 1 day a week, check into where we're at. If we find that there's like an issue or like a huge stumbling block, my idea would be like to say, Jess, can we do a Friday or Saturday so we can nip it in the bud? But the goal is to kind of stay ahead of it, so after last weekend, maybe one more weekend of a long weekend, but preferably it'll be 1 day a week. And
you'll be
some-
here with them, with the team?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna basically, what I like to do is I like to basically have an action plan, say, okay, what happened this week, you know, put that together, we'll work on that next week, or we'll come up with an idea, and then when I come back, okay, how did this week go, what did you see were the issues? And, you know, I have a list of items that does change, you know, these are my priorities, these are the things we need to get done. We gotta talk to accounting, and so week by week, that's how we'll deal with it. You know, what did you improve on, what did you struggle with? Let's work with this, let's go forward. Is there something that you guys need, is there something pushing for accounting? So yes, I will be here, it'll be me, and I'll be here, the 1 day with both of them, and then, we talked about probably a Thursday, because Thursdays might make more sense with closing out the week, and that's, Mondays are too chaotic, so that was our thought, and then, like I said, if we needed to go another day, and we could just for that particular week, because that was unexpected.
Yeah, just to well-round the department, and it's a new department. Yeah, obviously not gonna stand forever, so it'll just be until Jessica's, well, I mean, obviously I want you to be aggressive in learning this, because, you know, it is the job that you're hired for, so,
And
you know.
hopefully Tina, who has experience,
Yes.
will help just bring it all
Alleviate
together.
that, Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yeah, and I think it's, I don't know, I just, Jessica's has already learned with it, she's already knew a lot. It was
Right.
more about being able to just,
She said prioritizing and making
Yeah.
that like,
she's got
not
the
making
wrong-
everything an emergency, just because someone came in and was like,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Because that's, yeah.
Yes, so.
So can we maybe set it up, I know you're not gonna be here, but can we maybe set it, if you can let us know where you are,
Yes.
and then let's look a month out based on your schedule, and
Yep.
maybe you can let Nicole know what that dollar amount's gonna look like, and we
Okay.
can I know you won't be here
That's
next week,
fine,
but maybe
that's why
we
I'm
can-
giving you what
Maybe you and I
I,
can vote on that
I
next week.
do feel that this is important, so I'm putting my 2 cents in now, so like, you guys know, you know.
And to be honest with you, this is where I learned for negotiating. So I actually love bid-bot. Nobody has ever approached me about that for my services. So I like that idea of saying, okay, this week or this month, where are you at with the summaries, what do you anticipate? And then build on that. So that's actually a very good way to do that.
Yeah, just so we can plan some
Yeah.
things, because
Yeah.
things, in the past, like I can just use the account, outside account, and none of us were involved in that, but, you know, we got two $25,000 bills, and it was like, how did that happen?
Like,
Yeah.
where,
And that's not
what?
good management from our
Right.
standpoint,
Right.
so if we can figure out where you're at,
Yeah.
where you think you're gonna be, and then
Yeah.
if you're
And then you
okay
guys-
with
oh,
Rob, and I
of
believe
course,
in that.
yeah, no.
And I have
I
those
think that's not-
timesheets, so you can always see, we clock in and out. So if you ever guys want to review those, we keep those.
I have those. I have them all.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I don't
I
think we wanna
try-
micromanage
yeah,
it. We just wanna look at it
absolutely.
from
No, but
a-
I'm just saying, like, if there's ever a large bill, I have the backing and with the description of what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And sure, we have no problem sharing. I mean, the other day, we went to grab a seltzer and I clock out. If I get a call, I clock out. I don't, so I'm very
Yeah.
transparent with that. So.
We trust you.
Yeah, no, that's not an issue.
Never trust people. Total fraud protection, people.
You know, and it's funny, did you guys ever see that?
Trust me, I get it, I know.
There was a documentary done on a woman, she was a treasurer, collector, comptroller in Michigan, or Illinois.
The horse lady.
Yeah,
Rita.
she stole $54 million
Yes.
and went to federal prison, and she
That's-
lives back in the town again.
That's
but-
one of the cases I use, so I teach forensic accounting, so. it's-
Yeah, so
One of
when
the-
I
yeah,
went
yeah,
through
yeah.
some
That's one of the
class,
class cases we use.
we learned about it too.
Wow.
Which is part of what we're, again, that triangle, departments have to do this, not to be me. Accounting needs to get those forms from them. We should not be giving those forms over.
No, and that's what I definitely want, better
Yes.
procedures, in the town as a
Well, it
whole.
sounds like you guys are working on it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think you need to get everything squared away, and then we can push it through the town. But until you guys are squared away,
Yeah.
it's really hard to say, this is the procedure. If you're not ready for a procedure.
Yeah.
So you're figuring out what works, and obviously it sounds like it's working,
Well,
what
like
you're doing already,
And somebody
so.
came in to me and he was complaining about the building inspector. He's like, well, I've already told Jessica everything. And I'm like, why? Like, why would you even go up there? Well, I thought I'm like, no, they totally come to
Nothing to
me.
do with the treasure.
No.
No,
No,
like, please
wow.
don't go up to her again.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice enough not to say, run my job, but, there's a lot of things, oh, I'll go up to see Jessica. I'm like, why?
Right.
Jessica listens.
Yeah.
Jessica's
You have
there.
boundaries
Jessica
too,
listens.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have a good person working in this
Yeah.
town. I have left towns, I'm telling you right now, I've left towns when somebody is in the department that I feel is either untrainable or not even untrainable, just has no desire.
Yeah.
So when you find somebody who has the talent, you want to help. And I can give you the names of the towns that I've left because of that. So know that it's not,
No, and Jessica knows, I think
she does a great
we've been
job.
championing her.
Yes.
And to the selectmen, I, really definitely come to bat, knowing that she's capable of it.
Yes.
She
You
just
gotta
needs
have the
to
right
learn.
tools in your toolbox.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That, I'm a firm believer of that with any one of us.
Yes.
If you don't have the right tools, you can't do it.
Yeah. And I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I think I've done a good job so far, but yeah, but I could be much more efficient, I could be much more, so it's nice to, like you said, have the right tools and I'm proud of myself for everything that I've gotten done these past 6 months. I feel like I've, for the most part, stayed on top of everything, other than reconciliation, but that's what we spent the majority of our time doing, and we're caught up now. But yeah, I did demands, I did the tax titling audit, I mean, I did,
Your department.
yeah, I really was busting my butt, so.
Oh, I see your car here endlessly, I'm like, the girls always see them.
Yeah, because I care, I want to do a good job, like, this is what I want.
But we don't want burnout either.
Right.
So there's two sides to that.
A
Yes.
heater.
So you can,
Yes.
you
No,
know,
and
do
honestly,
it, but we
having-
don't want to see anyone burn out.
Yep, and
Because
I do think if I didn't have Sarah here, I might burn myself out. I think having her here, yeah, I needed that. Yeah.
So can we do a check-in? August is sort of a busy month. You're gonna be away for, and then the 22nd, we have
The meeting.
So can we schedule a check-in for September 12th? That would be our next meeting, right?
We have a water meeting that night.
We do in the earlier.
6,
Okay.
and then we go right into our
Yeah,
meeting.
just a quick, it doesn't, it can be a quick check-in.
I have a meeting at 6, but usually done by 6:30, so I could probably be here by like 6:10, 6:45. Is that too
I mean, we
late?
can put it at the end
No,
of the
we'll just put you,
agenda,
we'll
yeah.
put you
Okay.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a quick check-in, just.
Yep. So just to be clear, what, are there reports you want us to run so you can see things? Are there, we can actually can present where we are at reconciliation. We can do almost an example of our process. Jess can present what she's known, like, what do you, because I wanna make sure that you guys, get what you're looking for and leave knowing that what we're doing
Yeah,
is
do you
what
want
you
me
guys
to
want.
present more of it to kind of show like, what I've learned? I don't know.
I don't think we need to get that granular. I
Okay.
think just a global, my opinion only, there's 3 of us, my opinion is, where are we at with reconciling? What, where, I think for our next meeting, which is next week, if you could just give us where we're at financially, where you think we're gonna be.
For
until the
money-wise,
next-
for
money-wise,
spending, for training.
spending-wise.
Yes, yeah.
And then,
Right,
let's just
yep.
do a check-in and say, yep, we were able to streamline, we were able to do this, Tina's up and running, we feel comfortable, just big picture.
Well,
we're
and free
tackling
cash
this.
is right around the corner, right?
Right.
So that's all coming, so
Yes.
it'd be good to maybe have a little pulse on that.
Yep.
So in that, I don't know if you're familiar with the timeframes, but typically accounting has a lot to do, even once we
Yes.
reconcile. September, even before September, they can't do anything because of any
Right.
extra funds that come in. So that's the other thing I want to be clear is like the accounting, once we're done, well, the majority of it still.
They do a lot.
They
do
have
a
a
lot of that,
ton
yeah.
to do afterwards, so it's not like they're just like a flip of switch.
It was just a thought, like I know.
Yeah, just so we're
No,
on
always,
schedule.
we're always asking, and it's like, oh, it's coming, oh, well, we're close, or, and it's, then we kind of feel like, what's the,
Yes,
So-
yes, no, that's a good, and I think if we can show where we are with reconciliation,
Yep.
cash, accounts receivable, statement of indebtedness, all of those things, we can give you an update on where we're at, so
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
just very high level.
yeah, quick,
Okay.
quick update.
yeah, not,
Yeah. Great.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys, it's a pleasure, it's nice to see the movement, it's nice to see the progress, just works her butt off. And she really does do a good job, from what I can, and she knows her stuff, she knows it. So, there's no doubt in my mind, it's gonna work out very, very well for you guys, I'm gonna be happy when this is done, so.
Great, thank you.
thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you guys for taking the time.
Thank you.
Side note, do we know when my office might be moving?
No, I'm waiting to get a quote from the phones. I can't do anything until the phones. And
And then
I
like-
want to, believe me, and we have to figure out a configuration that's gonna work where nobody can get past, like, we need some sort of barrier. Because
Yeah, we've
honestly,
been
in all the
talking about
tax
that, too.
collectors' offices that I know, you cannot get back there. And here, you just walk right in. So
Yeah.
I've gotta have some sort of,
We think we have like a whole
show-
plan. Don't maybe talk about that.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites.
okay. All right, good. No, we'll
No,
we'll work
okay.
on that.
Yeah,
Okay, no,
alright.
I'll talk to you more about it tomorrow. Because
Okay.
I should be getting a quote from
Because
phones.
we did approve the moving,
Yes.
but it's the phone system that's.
Yeah, I can't go putting you downstairs and answer
Right.
planning's phone or the building
Right.
inspector's phone.
Right.
Right.
So,
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Anything else? This is supposed to be a quick meeting.
Yeah.
I just knew it though, bringing Sarah in, I'm like, it's not gonna be that quick, because
She's a shocker.
she's explained everything so well, although I'm like, what's posting, I don't know any of it.
Yeah.
But,
It
you know,
sounds-
so she's
It
thorough.
sounds like they're heading in that direction,
So we're gonna vote on that on Monday
yeah.
for ARPA funds.
That's why I brought it up, so
Yes.
that it's, I just.
I am
think
gonna have it on every meeting, just because as we go
It might be
along,
an
right?
important one to at least allocate something for, so that she can keep,
I mean, you're talking about $1,000 a week.
you know.
It is what it is.
If it-
It's hourly, so it's definitely not just a blanket amount, it's absolutely hourly.
Yeah.
And for the most part, and I ask her, if any of your other employees can do it, please have them do it and not her, because she charges
She's
more, because her,
right, yeah.
her high level of expertise.
But perfectly honest with you, I think Jess has a relationship with her that,
It would be good, I think.
to
I
someone
think-
else to step in.
Yeah, I think it's very
Sarah.
helpful that it's Sarah that's
Right,
working
and
with
the
her.
two of them
I
are
would agree with you
so
there.
working so much
Yeah.
together.
And we might see with Tina coming on board that,
Yep,
that we don't need
as
Sarah
much.
as
Yeah,
as-
exactly, and that's what obviously the
Yep.
goal is, to get her out of here as quick as possible,
Right.
but to give
And I
Jessica
think, you know,
what she needs.
find that, you know, like she said, Tina had her way of doing things, and just once they can sync, like, you know,
it should be seamless.
yeah, yep. Yeah, I agree.
Anything else to talk about before we adjourn? Carol, did you have anything?
I just came to get a copy of the warrant.
Oh, okay. No,
Did you make a
Move
motion?
to adjourn?
Oh, I second that.
so moved and seconded, all in favor to adjourn at 7:30?